Gather around, I got a story to tell. Gather around, I got a story to tell. For those that don't know me, my name is S1. I served a whole lot of time in prison, 16 years to be exact. And in that time, I ran across so many people, so many people. I want to tell you a story about a friend of mine's. His name is Brock, B-R-O-C-K, Brock. And Brock was I say was because Brock had hung himself a little after I left him. But going back to how when I first met him, he just like stood out because he was a white guy. He was a white male. He liked to work out. He was real brolic. He was real big diesel. He looked like Tom Hardy. If you know the actor Tom Hardy, he looked just like Tom Hardy, but with blonde hair. And Brock was a good dude. I was in 2-cell at the time, and Brock was in 3-cell. So he was my neighbor. And we got to know each other talking through the bars. And the first thing I noticed about him was he took meds. So every med call, when they called for meds, he was like the first one out the block, right, to go get his meds from the hospital. So Brock took a lot of drugs. Brock took Sebastians. Brock took any drug he could get his hands on and buy. Brock took it. He was a druggie. He had a real bad drug habit. And, he just stood out because he didn't look like he belonged in prison. He, blonde hair, blue eye, average white guy from up north. He was like from Rochester, that area, and I overheard the correction officers talk and say, Brock was in jail for a decapitation. So, the rumor was that Brock's wife was raped, and Brock caught the guy who raped his wife, and he cut his head off. He killed him, cut his head off. And how he was arrested was because he wanted to show his wife the trophy, So I guess when he cut the guy head off, he put it in a bag or whatever, and he was on his way to his wife to show her that he had the head in the bag, and he was knocked like en route. So that was the rumor. And I looked this up, I looked it up, and Brock wasn't his real name. I don't know his name, We just called him Brock because he was brolic, so we just call him Brock. So if y'all find out who Brock is, send me the DMs or whatever, But he definitely existed, and it was truth to his story, because when Brock get mad at the officers, he'd be like, I cut your fucking head off. You fuck with me, I cut your head off. And, a lot of people thought it was probably the meds and the drugs. His reaction came from that. But, Brock was a serious dude. Nobody played with this white dude. Nobody. Like, he wasn't the typical white guy. So, me and Brock built a real good bond, And this was around the time when Donald Trump was first elected. He was a big Donald Trump supporter. And I'm like, how did you like this guy? We used to go back and forth, and, he shared some of Donald Trump conservative views and stuff like that. So, I always debate him, And, one time, we became so cool that I used to let him hold my tablet. In New York State, you get a tablet, you go, download music. And I used to share my tablet, my playlist with him. I just give him my tablet. He knew the code for my tablet. And I used to have so many songs that I used to have to go to the computer and actually unload some of the songs into the kiosk to reload some of the songs that I didn't have on my tablet because I had that many songs. So Brock wanted to listen to a certain amount of songs that I had, because I had all kind of music from hip hop, R&B, rock and roll. He wanted to hear some rock songs. So I gave him my tablet, and I was like, let's go to the kiosk. He knew my code. We was cool like that. We knew each other codes. So to the kiosk, because the kiosk, you got a code to enter the kiosk, right? So he knew my code. So he went to the kiosk with my tablet to get some music. And when he came back, I he just put my tablet on my gate, through the bars. You got like a little gate, a slide where you can slide food and stuff like that. And he put my tablet on the gate. It didn't say anything to me and went back in his cell. So I was like, "What's up, Brock?" And he was quiet. And I'm like, "Yo, Brock." He wasn't responding. So I knocked on his wall. I'm like, "Yo, Brock, what's up, Brock? Talk to me. What's up?" He wasn't responding. So now I'm like, "Oh, shit. This is something new. I thought we was cool." Like, now he's not talking to me. He went to my kiosk. He went to the kiosk with my tablet. And now he's not talking to me. So I'm like, did this motherfucker read my email? And I'm like, I don't got no weird stuff in my email. Did he see a picture he didn't like or whatever? I don't know what the fuck is going on. So I go to the kiosk and I look at my contacts and his wife is in my contacts. I'm like, what? How the fuck she get in my contacts? And I know it was his wife, because I knew the wife's name. And I'm like, how the fuck is that possible? Right? And I'm like, oh, shit. He's very sensitive about his wife, obviously, if it's true that he, decapitated someone for his. So I'm like, holy shit. And, I don't do shit like that. I'm not going to. In prison, you can't play around with people. You can't, try to sneak and mess with somebody's wife. That's all they have in prison is their wives, So Brock wasn't talking to me and shit. So once I actually, seen that his wife was in my contacts, I came back. Because I went to the kiosk to check. I came back and I was like, "Yo, Brock, I don't know how the fuck your wife got into my contact list, but I don't got no relationship with your wife. I don't know her, And he ain't say much, but he basically said he didn't say much, but then a lot of people started complaining because somehow the administration mixed up our contacts. So some of my contacts was probably in his contact list, and it was a glitch in the computer. And that's the reason why, I was in his contact. His wife was in my contact list. It was the administration fault. It wasn't my fault, And once he found out that, it was a mistake due to the administration, he kind of calmed down and shit. I didn't want to. And the reason why I'm telling y'all this, you got to explain yourself in prison. Hopefully, I never go to prison, but you have to be real transparent and explain yourself, because you could get killed for some shit like that. I've seen people get stabbed up in a yard for way worse. Just for looking at someone else's visitor on the visiting floor too long, you could get killed. So, I cleared that up with Brock, and this is my guy too. I'm not scared of him or nothing. If we're going to get it on, we're going to get it on. But I got to explain myself because I got a relationship with this dude. And come to find out, Brock, he basically was giving me a little insight on why he did what he did to the individual. But for the most part, I just wanted to say a rest in peace shout out to Brock. He wasn't right in if he did decapitate that person, but he was a good dude, man. He was a good dude. And I really believe if I didn't leave him where I last left him because my classification dropped, he would still be alive, because I used to talk to him every single day. But he was a depressing kind of fella, He one day just hung himself in his cell, man. He had a whole lot of time. He had natural life. So I just want to give a rest in peace shout out to my boy Brock. I know some people would never, ever hear him or even notice that he existed. So I just highlighted him because he was a real good dude, man. May you rest in peace, my brother. S1 signing off, baby. Let's go. Story time with S1.